Hello and welcome to the Camp Corner. Today I'm going to be handing the reins over to Brittney, our executive director, who has expressed a great love of tie-dye. So she will be leading you through a tie-dye tutorial today. I hope you have lots of fun. Let's get started.
Hey, I'm bringing tie-dye to you today on Tie-Dye Tuesday. As you can see, I'm sporting it. I hope you are too. And if you don't have any, don't worry. After today, you're going to know how to get some or make some. So before you start making tie-dye, you will need a few things. You're going to need something to put your dye on. Now this can be a t-shirt. It can also be a kitchen towel, like those drying cloths. It can be a pillowcase. It can be a bandana, a sundress, pair of shorts. You can tie-dye all kinds of things. I personally have tie-dyed bed sheets, crib sheets, curtains, you name it. I've probably tie-dyed it, and it probably looked amazing. So, and after that, you're going to need your dyes. So today we're working with 5 different colors, and you're also going to want to make sure you have a clean surface. I'm wearing gloves because I don't have the privilege of dyeing my hands today, but you can not wear gloves and then you dye your hands as well. But so you got your shirts, you'll need your dye, you'll need something to put your dye and your water in. You can go to Walmart or any other store and buy a tie-dye kit. It'll come with your bottles and it'll come with dye to put in it, and it's just an add water type of thing. You're also going to need a funnel. You're going to need rubber bands. You're going to need measuring scoops, and you'll be set. So the first thing you do, which we've already done, is you take your shirts and you soak them in what's called soda ash, which is a chemical that you add to water, and it helps the material get ready to absorb the dye. After your shirt has been soaked for 15-30 minutes, you're ready to make it into the shape that you would want it. Now, the number one question that I always get when people are like, oh, I don't know what I want it to look like. Oh, I don't know what colors to do, right? So I brought a few samples today. I had to pick and choose. It was not easy. I have a lot of tie-dye to choose from, so that hanger is not going to make it. Okay, so one tie-dye design or pattern you can do is called the bullseye. Now this is one bullseye. It's a little older, you can tell because it's a little bit more faded. So this particular bullseye starts on the side right there, but it could start anywhere on the shirt. You can see him center top, you can see him middle, you can see him at the bottom, and you can have 2 colors or 10 colors. So that's the bullseye. There's also the spiral. And as you can see, I did Iowa State colors here. So this is one spiral. You can do a double spiral as well, which I'll show you here in a minute. Now, tie-dye, for beginners, I recommend stripes. Now, this is one of my kitchen towel cloths. If you ever come to my house, I guarantee you will find tie-dye in pretty much any room you go to. But this is just good old-fashioned stripes, and I'll be showing you how to do those stripes today. And again, stripes are really easy, and you can use as many or as few colors as you want. So this is a different angled stripe, but the reason I brought this example is for the effect of the rings. So you see that white ring on there? I'm going to be showing you how to do those today too, which is a fun effect you can add to any pattern. I've done it on stripes, you can do it on spirals, you can do it anywhere. So I brought this one along. It's the double spiral, and I actually did this one by mirroring because it was just folded when I did it. You can do a double spiral by doing 2 spirals on the front as well, in which case this would have been 4 spirals. I don't know if you can see it because it's blowing. But so the spiral, it was folded, so now you have a double spiral. All right, so I have 5 colors that I'm working with, and before I can make my patterns, I have to know what colors am I going to work with today. Now colors are fun, but they're a little tricky. You have to know what colors are going to pair well together. You don't want to put like orange and green together because you'll get brown. That's not to say you can't do orange and green on the same shirt. You just got to leave a little space between them. So just think about that when you're picking your colors. Or if you pick like a dark purple and a dark blue and black, you're going to have a very dark tie-dye. And that's fine. Just think about it in advance so you make sure you come out with what you want. So today, I know I'm tie-dyeing for my daughter, so I picked black, I picked pink, yellow, turquoise, and green. So I have already measured out the recommended amounts into my bottles. I have my funnel and my pitcher of water. So I have pre-measured this cup and I've pre-measured this container, and I know per my dye that this is 1 cup. You'll want to read any packet or any dye that you're working with to know how much water to how much dye. And there's also another fun thing called urea that helps make your dyes more powerful. So I'm going to be adding 1 cup of water to my teaspoon of dye here. I'd like to point out that these bottles have been used for well over 10 years, and I reuse them and reuse them, and the trick is to make them really clean after each time, because if I had green in this last time or pink in or black or something in this last time and I didn't rinse it out quite well enough, when I put my new color in this time, it would very easily contaminate the whole dye, and then it would be ruined. So when you're done, I need a lid that fits. When you're done with your tie-dyeing at the end of it, it's really important to clean up when you're done. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to add water to all of these so we can go ahead and get dyeing. Alright, so these dyes we've got water in all of them, and we're just shaking them up. Now I like to cover the tip when I'm shaking it, because obviously this is an open hole and it'll come out, but I also don't want the dye to get on my hands or my gloves right away, because then when I go touch my clean shirt, that dye will transfer. So you just have to be really conscious of where all your color is all the time so that you don't have any unwanted dye anywhere. So right now our dye is mixed, our shirts are soaked, we have all our supplies ready, and we're about to pick our first design. So we're going to set our dyes out of the way so we don't accidentally put any color on any white shirts just yet, okay? So first things first, we got our t-shirt here, and we're going to start with the double spiral. So a spiral is made when you pinch the shirt, and you're going to pinch the shirt top and bottom layers. You pinch them and then you just spin it, and as you spin it, it creates that spiral-like effect that you see. So if you want to do 2, you simply pinch it in 2 different spots and twist, and you just have to think about which way you want them to go. So I want them to go opposite of each other. I'm trying to try to keep it flat as much as possible so that the folds all stay together. And then this will go a little bit into each spiral. So that is going to be 2 spirals. It's a small shirt. If you had a larger shirt, you could do more with it. I've done double spirals on sheets and it looks so good. So now you need your rubber bands. Now the rubber bands are an important part of tie-dye, and again, I'm going to remind you how important it is that your rubber bands are clean. So I have rubber bands that I've used for previous dye jobs, and I'll put them on and there was still dye left on them, and I get like a streak of black where I wanted orange or something. So just remember after you take them off to rinse them. So I'm looking for some, this is a pretty small t-shirt and I want them nice and tight and secure, and looking for some smaller ones. And if you're wondering why rubber bands or what do rubber bands do, you can see in the patterns, the rubber bands are where the white is. So in the bullseye, there was a rubber band around each intersection color, and the rubber band, the tighter it is, the more white you'll have, the more crisp line you're gonna get, because the rubber band stops the dye from bleeding into the other sections. So just trying to find some good rubber bands here. So here's a good one. All right, so it's pinching it, but I'm gonna just try to keep it as flat as possible. And tie-dye is all about being creative. You cannot ruin tie-dye. So I'm gonna put that on, people call them pizza slices. So I'm going to put it in. So I have my spirals on the bottom, put them in slices there. And the more slices you have, the more colors you can add, because you're going to put one color per slice of pizza. Now some people like more white in tie-dye, some people like no white in tie-dye, and that will all be determined by how tightly you put your rubber bands and how much dye you add to this. So the shirt that I'm wearing right now is called the Crinkle, and there's not really any rubber bands that get put on this. That's why there's no firm creases or lines, because there's no folds or rubber bands in here. But I'm gonna lift this up and you're gonna actually see that there are spirals in here. You can see the folds of the shirt. So that's what we're working with. So that's your goal. When you pick it up, it stays to its shape. It's a little messy on top, and that's okay. So we're gonna set this shape aside, and we're gonna make some more, and we're gonna dye this in a minute, okay? Now this t-shirt, we're gonna do the Crinkle, which is what I'm wearing today. It's one of my favorite patterns because it is absolute randomness and it's just chaos and beauty. I love how the colors bleed together to create new colors, and it's just so fun. So to make the Crinkle, you do just that. You just pinch it and you just crinkle up your shirt, right? So you're just pinching and pinching. And I think there's a fun effect. I couldn't find an example to bring, so I was kind of bummed, but there's a really cool effect you can make with tie-dye where it looks like black is piercing through. I think we're gonna do that on the spiral. I'll have black pierce through the spiral, so we're not gonna do that on the Crinkle, but it is cool. So on this one, we actually want really tight rubber bands so that we don't end up with just like a one color dye job. We want it really tight, but they don't have to be in any sort of pattern because we're not putting them within, the dye won't go within any certain rubber band spaces. We're just trying to make a big flat ball of crinkled up t-shirt, but you want it flat, that's important. And this again is the one I'm currently wearing, sporting. Bah humbug. So super easy. If it gets up from you, just pinch it, put it back in its place. Oh man. I have seen some really cool and creative tie-dyes at camp. It's always so much fun when we call the names on Sunday when they're going home and they get to see what they've made, and they get, oh, it's just so fun. Like you pull it out of the basket like, ooh, I love those colors together, and it's really fun. So I encourage everyone and anyone to do tie-dye if you have not done it before. My kids heard that I was making this video today, so now I get to go home and make more tie-dye, so that's exciting. All right, so this looks very similar to the last one because I made it in a pizza pattern because I wanted to hold it in its shape, but that we're gonna treat it differently when we get down to the end. We're gonna do one more here, and this is one of my kitchen cloths, and we're gonna make it stripes just because stripes is a really good beginner pattern for you to do. So we have a spiral, we have a crinkle, and we're gonna do a stripes. So you can do stripes horizontally, you can do them vertically, and you can do them diagonally. We're gonna go with the other fold, which is not vertical. It's gonna be, so we're gonna actually fold it up this way, and the rubber bands will go on this way. And so you're thinking, oh, it's gonna be a horizontal, but it's not, it's gonna be vertical. But it's a square, so it could be both. But if it was a t-shirt, it would be vertical stripes. That's the one thing with stripes. Horizontal and vertical go the opposite way than what you think they would. Oh, and I forgot. Okay, so we're going to do the effect of the circles, right? So all you have to do is grab a section and put a rubber band on it. Just make yourself a little nipple and tighten a rubber band around it as tight as you can, okay? Oh. I'm going to get all these rubber bands on, and I will show you how to make a stripe here in a second. Okay, so we put our rubber bands in here, and I put them all pretty similar in size. I pulled about the same amount through on each of them. I got them really tight in here, so there'll be a nice clear white circle in the middle that no dye really gets to. I didn't mean to, but I look like I have a nice little pattern here. That's fine. When it unfolds, it won't look like that, like I was trying to follow a pattern. So I'm going to pretend like those are not there, and I'm just going to go ahead and still fold my material up in the fan fold so that I have all these creases. So if you look here, you have a bunch of creases. And now I'm going to put rubber bands going across this way, and this will determine how many colors, how many stripes I want on this particular towel. So I like to do the ends first to hold it in its place. Make sure it stays folded. Make sure that it remains as in this particular shape as I want. So I do the ends first, and then if I'm thinking, oh, I want a skinny one and a skinny one and a fat one, I can come in and I can put those rubber bands in after the ends are secure so I don't lose my folds. You know what? I kind of like that idea. I like the idea of 2 skinnies and 1 fat. Nothing like bringing your kids to work, right? So, here we are. So I have 4 total rubber bands. It's going to leave me with 5 good solid stripes, and we'll add color to that here in just a moment. So in this one, we're going to have some really good circles. So this one is ready for dye as well. Hey, so we are ready to put our color on our shirts, and this is where it gets really fun, okay? But it is also really messy. So as you can see, I'm just dyeing on the grass, which is an absolutely fine way to do this. You can also dye on a table. You want to have a tablecloth down, and you want to have a lot of rags ready to soak up the dye. And especially if you're doing multiple shirts or pieces of material, if you dye one, when you're done with it, wipe all that dye up because it will dye the next one. So just keep that in mind. So it's messy, just prepare yourself for it. It's absolutely worth it. So we're doing ours outside in the grass for less cleanup. So we're going to start with our double spiral. So I'm looking at my 2 bundles of shirts here, and they look really similar. All I have to do is flip it over. This is my spiral. It's very obvious based on the spirals that you can see on the back. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces in my pie. So I have potentially room for 8 pieces, 8 colors. I don't want an 8 colored spiral. I want to have my black shooting out through one side, and when we reveal it, that'll make more sense. So I'm gonna do one side of this all black, and on the other side, I'm gonna alternate colors. So this is my black. I'm gonna set this one out. And I'm going to do my teal, my yellow, and my pink, and my, I'm going to do them all. Usually if you have a bunch of colors, I recommend pull out the 4 or 5 or 2 that you're going to do on your shirt and have them sitting right next to you so you don't accidentally, try to grab a purple and grab the black on accident. So, because there's no undos. There's no, oops, let me erase that in tie-dyeing. But no matter what, it's all beautiful. So we're going to get started here. We're going to do our colored side first and the black side second. Okay, so we're going to start with the pink because it keeps wanting to fall over. So I'm going to hold it and I'm going to just pick a chunk of the pie and I'm going to take the nose and I'm going to squeeze it right into the material there. And I'm going to get all the way in there. I don't like a lot of white in my tie-dye. I like hints of white, just little snippets. So I give it a lot of dye, okay? And I get my nose all the way there. You can see I'm not dripping it on the top. I'm squeezing the dye into the shirt so it's soaking it up. Maybe you can see it's starting to come out on the other side of the rubber band. So I'm going to get this whole piece all dyed pink. And I can set it down. So let's see, we got a pink one. What do you think will go good next to the pink? This is usually when I would ask, whoever I'm helping, adult, pastor, youth, what do you think would go next to the pink? And so now I'm gonna pick, this is my jade green. I'm gonna put that right next to pink. And I think that's gonna be a nice complement there. And again, my nose is all the way in there. I'm letting it touch and bleed right into that pink. Those two will make some beautiful colors. Now that was a little bit of a darker shade, so I'm going to go yellow next to that jade green. All right, so we have a guest with us today now. Tava, come sit right here next to Mommy. Okay, what color do you want next to that pink? Should we put blue next to it?
Yeah.
Oh, good choice, good choice. All right. All right. Yeah. Oh, should we put some more yellow on there now?
Yeah.
All right, so then we're going to finish that off with a yellow in there. Yes. Oh, do you like those colors?
Yeah.
That's going to be a beautiful t-shirt for you. Okay, so now we're going to go for the effect of have the black shoot through the spiral. So it's going to look like the black is cutting through it. So we're going to flip it over. Now, if you didn't want to do the black slicing effect on this, you would simply put the exact same color on the back side. And if you wanted like totally bonkers, crazy spirals, you could do different colors on the back side, and that's totally fine too. It's whatever creativity you are so inclined to do. So I'm going to take my black and I am just going to lightly go over the entire back of this shirt.
For me?
This is for you. Now, I was very scared the first time I did this. I was like, oh my gosh, I just ruined my shirt. I'm going to have a black shirt. And I tell you what, it's not black. It's not ruined. It looks so good. I think a hint of black looks really good with almost every single tie-dye. So now I'm going to set this one aside. Now I am going to put the black side down, so that as this sits for the next 24 hours and absorbs into the material, the black dye is dripping out of it and not bleeding into the colors and stealing the show. All right, so I got my hands rinsed off. I'm ready to go to my next shirt. So next we have our Crinkle, and this one is so fun because it is absolutely just randomness, right? So you can do 2 colors, 3 colors, try to put a pattern. I made a butterfly once, but for right now, we're just gonna kind of pick up a color, squirt it in, and so see how the last time in the spiral, it mattered where my rubber band was. I definitely lined it up with the rubber band, and that's the look I was going for, so it would make the spiral. On this bad boy, I'm just gonna shoot it in there. I'm still burying the nose into the shirt because I want it to soak into it. I don't want a bunch of white spots everywhere. So I am getting the nose way down in there, getting these colors all over the place. This shirt will resemble the one I'm wearing very much. Very happy, colorful, all about the sunshine. And we're gonna flip it over, and we're gonna give it some more. So you can't go wrong with the crinkle. Just pick your favorite colors and add them in. It'll look amazing, I promise. Such fun. Okay, so done. How easy is that? Am I right? Okay, so I'm gonna set this one off to the side over here. Doesn't really matter on that one. The lighter colors tended to be on the front, so I did put that side down. I'm gonna rinse my hands off here so I don't transfer any color. Wipe them off just to make sure. Okay, so now we have our stripes with our little fun hints in here. So these can work two ways. You can color them special, or you can just do your pattern and pretend like they're not there, and you'll get what you saw with the two examples that I showed you. So that's what we're gonna do today. So I have a little bit of dye on the grass from where I just did those two, so I'm just gonna make sure to set it down a little in front of it, because that grass on the dye would absorb into my towel. So I am gonna start with, I still have a lot of my turquoise left, so I'm gonna put that in the middle, and I'm gonna put it way into there. I'm just gonna squeeze it out until I see it come out, and then I know it's soaked through. And this one, instead of flipping it upside down, we're just gonna roll it and make sure we got it all. Now, if you're really into blending colors, or you really want a white strip, the more white you want, the further you stay away from the rubber bands and the less dye you add. If you want a pastel color look to it, then you rinse it sooner. If you want a really deep, rich color, then you use the soda ash, and you use the urea, and you let it soak for a long time. And there's a bunch of tricks and things like that that you can use to make sure that your dyes look a certain way, and you can find all of those online. And there are so many cool patterns to make, more so than just the few that we went over today. And I encourage you to experiment and find some, maybe invent one, totally new, off the cuff, never been done before. I want to find some sundresses for me and Tava that we can make matching but different sundresses. So, all right, and then on my ends here, I'm going to do one side pink, and I'm going to do one side yellow, so not totally uniform. All right, so there you go. This, and now, because this is really thick, there's a lot of material in this towel. There's a lot of folds in there. Actually, and because I don't want a ton of white, I'm gonna squeeze that, right? I'm gonna make sure my dye got all the way into the middle. Make sure it got into every little nook and cranny and crease and fold. So, all you have to do at this point is put these into a bag and let them sit for 24 hours or more, and then rinse them out, wash them, and then you're ready to wear. All right, we are in my backyard and the dye has been sitting, so now we are ready to rinse out all this loose dye. So I have cold water in my hose and we're ready to go. All right, so most of that loose dye is wringing out. It's pretty clear, so I'm going to take the rubber bands off now and wring it more into a ball. And then it'll be ready to go into the washing machine. This part's exciting because you'll get to see kind of for the first time what your design will look like and how the colors melded together. Got a couple more in here. You can see that white ring that rubber band left. Alright, so that's pretty clear coming out of there, and we're going to call that one good to go in the washing machine. So I'm going to do that for these ones as well, and you'll see them when they come out for the review.
Thank you so much, Brittney, for that awesome tutorial. And thank you for joining us today on the Camp Corner. We'll see you next time. Bye.